Fish and Chums!
Hi everybody, Old Gare here for this week's Fish and Chums Fishing Report. Here we are the first week of October. Can you believe that? And it's always kind of different this time of the year because we have a transition going on between summer and fall. So that can make a little bit tougher fishing, but we do have some pretty good reports for you. Some larger bass are starting to show up at Table Rock, Bull Shoals. I had a pretty good report on Truman, some nice sized bass being caught. So let's get with the report. And speaking of bass, the old man can still do it. I was out a couple days ago and using a drop shot plastic worm night crawler combination and picked up this nice bass. How about that? Woo! Man, that was fun on 6-pound test line, I promise you, that's for sure. And let's go over to Table Rock. Well, they've had some pretty good early morning, late evening topwater. It's a little bit better than the last couple of weeks. And they've had some drop shot fishing, of course, in the warmer parts of the day. By the way, the spinnerbait fishing has been fair. Spinnerbait fishing off the banks in about that 10, 12, 15 feet of water. Throw it out, let it go down, and just kind of slow roll it. And we've had some pretty good reports on Ned rigs as well. So Table Rock may be good this week. I've had some good reports of smallmouth and largemouth bass. Some nice, better than quality or better than average size are being caught there right now. A few walleye been caught up in at the White River arm. And it seems like that Baxter area off some of the points. Some people are getting a little shallower than what it's been the last few weeks. They've been picking up some fish as shallow as 12 feet, but going 12, 15 to 18 feet of water. At times you have to go from 18 to 24 foot. Walleye diver, deep water crankbaits have been working. Other people are using jig and night crawler. And so check out the walleye fishing up in that Baxter area. You may pick up some fish. Okay, let's go over to Lake Taneycomo. They've been running some units, especially in the late afternoon hours. And when they're doing this, drift fishing has been good. I'll tell you, a good thing to drift right now would be the Berkeley Power Eggs. And that pink has been good the last few days. And they've been picking up some fish on jigs, of course, when they're not running any water. And a few Cleo spoons are picking up a fish on occasion. Okay, let's go over to Bull Shoals, spinnerbait fishing in the early morning, mid-morning hours. And they've been picking up some fish, kind of like Table Rock, pitching that spinnerbait out in about 10, 12, 14 feet of water, slow rolling it. And they have, in the afternoon hours, picking up a few fish on a Ned rig and drop shots, a little slow in that department. And square bill crankbait might pick you up a fish at Bull Shoals this weekend. Speaking of Bull Shoals, the walleye fishing has been pretty fair, a little bit better in the last couple of days. And the fish, they've been fishing the deep water points, 25 to 35 feet of water. Some of the walleye at Bull Shoals have moved up a little bit and around 15 feet in the early morning hours, 15 to 18 feet. So experiment on your depth. And it seems like, I tell you what, right now at Bull Shoals, go to a jig head, put a little color on that jig head. Fluorescent chartreuse, been good, hot pink, orange. Orange has been good. Tip it with a night crawler. At times, a short strike, and you might go with a half a night crawler. And at other times, if you see some shad activity with some bigger fish on your units, go to a spoon. Flutter some spoons there. That may pay off for you. Okay, over at Stockton Lake, boy, the crappie have been real good. That would be my top pick for crappie fishing this weekend. They've been picking up some fish on the flats or more on this fall pattern right now, getting that way. And experiment on your depth. Sometimes, I guess, out at Stockton, these fish are right on the bottom, just to crank off the bottom with the jig and minnow combination. Other times in the brush and the standing timber and so forth, they may be, especially the brush, right on top of the brush, on the side of the brush with a jig and minnow combination. Kind of experiment on your depth. Also at Stockton, there's been some pretty nice walleye out there the last few days, and the walleye are kind of like Truman, Bull Shoals are moving up on the points a little bit shallower than what they have been. So try that 8, 10, 12 foot water. If that doesn't do it, go down 12, 15 to 18 feet, maybe 25. And jig and night crawlers, put a little color on that jig again. And night crawlers have been pretty good. And drop shot fishing has been pretty good out there as well for walleye with just drop shot with a live night crawler. That could pay off for you. And they've been picking up some fish by trolling out there, and it seems like the Berkeley, the shad baits have been working. Troll down around 12, 15 feet of water off some of these points. that may pay off for you. Over at Truman, we've had some pretty good reports. Some of the crappie are moving a little bit better. Some people are still having a struggle, but other people are catching some limits out there. Really pretty nice sized fish too, off the flats. And they've been coming up a little bit. We've had reports of fish being caught in 12 to 15 feet of water. Other people are picking them up a little bit deeper, but minnow, jig and minnow combination's been real good out there. So try Truman for crappie this weekend. Had some fair reports on some nice sized bass being caught at Truman, and square bill crankbaits are working, spinnerbaits, slow rolling spinnerbaits, jigs like a half-ounce football jig, flipping it out off some of the timber, picking up a few fish as well. Quick report on Lake of the Ozarks. Pretty the same report we've had the last few weeks. Some crappie have been caught out in the deep water drop-offs off the points, especially if you can find some brush. Jig and minnow combination. Other people have been trolling crankbaits, so they find big balls of shad. They've been trolling small crankbaits through that balls of shad, picking up a few crappie that way as well. Some nice bass at Lake of the Ozarks, picking up some fish on football jigs, and they've been picking some nice bass up, starting just recently on spinnerbaits out there as well, and crankbaits, square bill crankbaits. Last report out at North Fork Lake, they've been having some pretty good fishing out there. Seems like the striper's been real deep the last few weeks, but they're starting to move up in that 50-foot range, 50 to 60 foot on spoons, half-ounce or ounce spoons. And the walleye, few walleye limits have been caught out there the last few days, and they've been picking up these fish on the flats, on the edge of the flats on spoons, or jig and night crawler, or moving back into the creek area flats, picking up a few walleye as well. That's our quick report for the day. I want to thank you very much for being with us. Be sure to like and share, and of course subscribe. We really appreciate that. And if you have any information you'd like to send us, just go to our email. Email us at fishingchums@gmail.com. God bless you all. Go out and get bit this weekend. Enjoy this beautiful fall weather. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.